can't look at what has happened here to your mothers, your fathers, your grandparents, sons, daughters, children, even babies, and not scream out for justice. Justice must be done. But I caution this: while you feel that rage, don't be consumed by it. After 9/11, we were enraged in the United States. While we sought justice and got justice, we also made mistakes.
President Biden there delivering powerful remarks in Israel just a few moments ago. The president reiterated the United States' unwavering support for the country in a speech this morning in Tel Aviv. Now, this was the first time the president hinted at Israel showing some form of restraint over Gaza after likening Hamas's attacks to the equivalent of what he said were 15 9/11s. His remarks come a day after a deadly explosion at a hospital in Gaza. Health officials say the blast killed hundreds of people. Palestinian authorities blame Israel. However, Israel blames a Palestinian militant group, saying it is the result of an errant rocket. At this stage in the conflict, more than 4,700 people have died on both sides since the beginning of this war. That figure includes 31 Americans. CBS News foreign correspondent Roxana Saberi joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Roxana, it was around this time yesterday where we were reporting live on this attack. Now you have both sides pointing fingers at one another. Just talk to us about what we know now, a day later, from what exactly happened.
Yeah, we're still hearing contradictory perspectives on what exactly happened. But this morning, President Biden said here in Tel Aviv that the blast appears to have been caused by what he called the other team, not Israel. And he later said it appears to be the result of an errant rocket fired by a terrorist group. But later today, a National Security Council spokesperson tweeted something saying a little less than that Israel is not responsible according to the information that the U.S. has. That appears to show a little less confidence in who or what may have caused the blast. Israel has said that it intercepted Hamas communications, radar, and drone footage, proving that Israel was not behind the blast, and it has blamed it on the militant group Islamic Jihad in Gaza. But Hamas continues to blame Israel. So have some Arab governments, including Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Errol?
And as that blame continues, Roxana, the war itself rages on. The hospital blast was in the south, in Gaza, towards southern Israel. But in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, air raid sirens have been going off for many days now, including where you are. Talk to me about how Israelis are dealing with what seems now like a new reality.
Yeah, it does seem like a new reality. And as you mentioned, there have been air raid sirens here daily, sending people, including us, to bomb shelters. We have some at our hotel on every floor. Interestingly, we did not hear any of those sirens during President Biden's visit here, which perhaps is a sign that Hamas was showing some restraint during his visit here. We have personally also heard the buzz of Israeli drones patrolling the sky for the second night in a row, including just a few moments ago. Here in Tel Aviv, there are people who are trying to achieve and keep a sense of normalcy. We're not far from the boardwalk. I've seen people biking. There are some biking now. People have been running, but we're told it is much quieter than usual in the streets. Some restaurants and bars have been closed or only doing deliveries. Fewer people have been coming out just because they lack the sense of security. So you can tell that people do feel on edge, Errol.
And for good reason. I know that you spent some time in northern Israel and you filed a report for the Evening News, which was quite strong, dealing with this growing number of exchanges between the Israeli military and Hezbollah militants in Lebanon. What's the latest on the tensions there and any fighting that might bubble up?
Yeah, there were more cross-border clashes today between Israel and Hezbollah, as we reported in previous days. And we were in the north yesterday. As you mentioned, the atmosphere there is increasingly tense. People who live along Israel's border with Lebanon are used to tensions, but they have been feeling it even more in recent days. Now, the concern is that Iran-backed Hezbollah could open a second front in the conflict against Israel, and that the conflict could then spiral against the region. The supreme leader of Iran, which supports both Hezbollah and Hamas, did say that he would not be able to control the axis of resistance, which refers to these Iran-backed groups, anti-Israeli groups, if Israel's assault on Gaza continues. Errol.
All right, a great overview from Roxana Saberi. Thank you very much. We want to cross now to CBS News senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe with more on the president's trip to Israel, which has just wrapped. Of course, Ed, we want to talk about the White House's reaction to everything that's unfolding. There are two messages President Biden emphasized: a support for Israel and also aid, a pledged aid package for Palestinians. How does the administration plan to deliver on what the president's words laid out?
Well, Errol, the bigger questions probably at this point now will come from what exactly that aid package for Palestinians, at least, will go towards, which entities, how can you ensure that Hamas militants or Hamas leadership doesn't get their hands on the money, and that it actually gets to humanitarian groups or civilians that need it in response to the conflict. It's going to cause a lot of concern among Republicans, maybe even some more moderate Democrats, as to why aid is being provided. But the president made clear it's not designed to go to Hamas, it's designed to go to the Palestinian people. We'll wait and hear details about that. We're also anticipating at some point now in the next few days, we'll get more details on billions of dollars in aid to Israel, probably from the State Department and Defense Departments, regarding the ongoing conflict and how Israel plans to respond. So a lot of financial commitment now expected to be coming from the United States. And with everything going on, as we've been seeing throughout the morning here, playing out in Washington, regarding who's going to be running Congress, that aid could get held up even longer.
Okay, we'll continue to watch for that. And Ed, when reports emerged of a hospital attack in Gaza City yesterday, immediately the blame was pointing in both directions. President Biden suggested that an errant rocket that hit the hospital came from within Gaza, not from Israel. I just want to play for our viewers what he said about that during his trip and get your reaction on the other side.
I was outraged and saddened by the enormous loss of life yesterday in the hospital in Gaza. Based on the information we've seen to date, it appears the result of an errant rocket fired by a terrorist group in Gaza. The United States unequivocally stands for the protection of civilian life during conflict.
What do we know about how the administration was able to reach that conclusion? What intelligence are they seeing?
A good and important question right now, Errol. The National Security Council spokeswoman a little while ago conveyed to reporters that the U.S. continues to collect information. The current assessment, based on analysis of overhead imagery, intercepts, and open source information, is that Israel isn't responsible for the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. Notice they describe it in the National Security Council as just an explosion. Yeah. The president was more specific in his response, and earlier in the day had said that it was the other team, when talking to the Israeli prime minister, that caused the explosion at that hospital. It's in the hours since that the NSC had to step in and clarify, and the president himself had to clarify why it is he had been led to believe that. Again, assessment so far is that it was certainly not Israel responsible for this. Who exactly, what exactly exploded, and how the U.S. can independently verify remains to be seen. But notable that the intelligence community and national security officials would move that quickly to explain in a little more public detail how it is they've come to that assessment so far.
All right, Ed O'Keefe with the latest for us from the White House. Thank you.